Hello, class. It is 5 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, and I am going to start the meeting. The purpose of this meeting is a question and answer session after you watch the orientation to the class video. I was hoping to have questions and answers. What I will do is highlight some things about the class, and then I will go over your first assignment. I know some of you have emailed me with questions, and I will go through that first assignment tonight. So I will start with the class. As I said, there is a orientation to class video, so I'm not going to go through all the pieces of the course. However, I do want to point out a few things. Make sure you are reading all your announcements. There are announcements I post every week, and this week your announcements would be information on how to reach me. And I want you to know, please feel free to call me or text me. Sometimes when you're online, I feel we don't always have this face-to-face connection, and I try to decrease that by being available for you. You may text me, call me. I'm on Central Standard Time, so usually if you can call me before 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, I would really appreciate that. And you can send me text. If you do send me text, make sure that you include your name. Sometimes I get texts from students and it's just a phone number, and I really don't know who is texting me. So please include a name. Other information in the announcements, as you can see, is, and I apologize for this shaky mouse. I'm not quite sure why that's happening. But here's the information for the class, the orientation to the class video, welcome to week 1. This is about the meeting tonight, and information on how we take attendance. And I'm not going to go through that because you have that information available for you throughout this course. If you have questions about it, please let me know. Ann Wilkinson made a very nice short video on how to be successful in the discussion threads. So I suggest I put it here, and I also put it in discussion 1, that you do take the time to go over that and view it, because it has really everything you need to get 25 points each week, and those points do add up. A couple other things that I would like to highlight is, again, here's my number. You can get me either through Canvas or you can email me. Office hours I have are on Mondays if you want to make an appointment and to talk. Otherwise, again, feel free to call me or email me. The books that you need for this class are your Brunner and your APA book. The APA book will become important as you are writing your papers and doing the discussion. And we do incorporate many concepts from MedSurg, and so we do use this book. So that is your information about which books to use. Basically, what this course is it's an assessment of diverse patients and populations, and you will see that throughout the course that you're assessing groups of people, populations, and we also added to this course, based on student feedback, we added more information on hemodynamics, and the reason is that is an area you could be questioned on the NCLEX, so you do want to be comfortable and familiar with that. And then in the end, you have another 125-point quiz that focuses on hemodialysis and cardiovascular. So that's basically an overview of the class. I am not going to go through requirements of the discussion because we now have that, like I said, very nice video. As far as discussions, just a few highlighted thoughts here. We tried something different this year, and in the Eagle Gate Cafe, we did use Padlet, and I appreciate everybody who's added to this. It's just a matter of clicking on and then following these instructions. It is all 3 classes, and the idea is there are separate sections, but you are all in this together. So we thought we'd give that a try and see how that would work. So please, even if you just want to add a picture with your name, that's fine, but please feel free to do that. And then in the discussions, the other thing I'd like to point out is you do have assigned questions some week, as you do in discussion 1 this week. And in this case, make sure that when you answer these questions, that you look to see what your assigned question is, and that it's your last name. And that way the material is divided up among the classmates. So please take a look at that before you answer. Discussion boards are great to encourage participation and increase your critical thinking skills. So I will post questions throughout the week. I might say, hello, Susan and class. So I'm addressing it to focus in on what the last person was that replied, but anybody in the class can answer that question and dig deeper and add to that subject matter. I will also add video comments, and you just have to click on the video to hear me or hear what I have to say. While I'm on that subject, I do use a mixture of verbal or video comments and written comments. So please take the time to review the video comments. Usually I don't make comments in the rubric if I do video. So I want you to listen to that as a way to get your feedback and hear how well you did. And if there's any areas that you might need to improve, those that will be in that video comment. So I do mix it up a little bit. All right, on to your first assignment, and that'll be next week. And that is a written assignment. This goes down a little different. So it is a healthy lifestyle assessment assignment, and it is worth 200 points or 20% of your grade. So you do want to receive a nice grade on this. And what you're doing in this assignment is you are looking at what is available or accessible in an area or a community that contributes to healthy lifestyle. And then you are going to consider, after you've done your assessment, look at what barriers there might be in vulnerable populations such as maybe lower socioeconomic, elderly, disabilities, that type of thing after you do your assessment in that area. So scrolling down, the first thing you're going to do is find a geographical area in a community. So students have used local areas, or they've gone on the internet and assessed. Someone has used Minneapolis, Minnesota, or maybe someplace you've lived before. But the idea is that you pick a geographical area, first of all, that you can assess and you can get information, and something you're interested in. Please also remember that you need to give the reasons for choosing that area. So if you decide to do Minneapolis, Minnesota, why did you pick that area? It might be that you lived there. It might be that you want to live there. You might have relatives that live there, but explain your reasons. And when you look at these numbered questions, and then if you go down to the rubric and it says missing 1 element, missing 2 elements, make sure that you do all parts of this question. So I would suggest that you print this out, and then when you cover each area, just, you can check it off or whatever you want to do. So this is a 2-part question. You're identifying an area and explaining a little bit about it, and then why did you pick it? It's kind of your introduction to your paper. So, so that anybody who's reading it gets a visual picture of where you're going. The next part in the paper is to assess the area for opportunities to participate in a healthy lifestyle. So what you're looking at is areas that provide physical activity, nutrition, health screening, social activities, immunization, educational activities, that relate to safety and healthy lifestyle practices. If I was writing this paper, I would list all these so that I know I've covered them in this area. In addition, you want to make sure you include all private, public, and educational institutions. So, as an example, what could I put in physical activity? You could assess parks, bike paths, if you're maybe in Colorado, skiing, cross country, snowboarding, walking with snowshoes, that type of thing. So, what's available for physical activity? And that is, the whole gamut, and that includes, what's free and what's not free. Nutrition, looking at the area, maybe farmers markets, what is in that area, programs that promote a healthy lifestyle. Health screening, if there's a public health department, what's involved maybe in the schools, what is done in that area to screen for health. It might be wellness fairs, that type of thing. What are the social activities that will promote healthy lifestyle? An example could be races, marathon races, walks, different kinds of walks, any kinds of activities that the community might offer to involve the community. That's a social activity. Immunizations, are there free clinics? And then are there free educational opportunities? Does the area offer wellness training? Do the hospitals offer classes? I know in one of the communities I lived with, there were two hospitals. One was very involved in teaching the public with courses throughout the month, where the other one offered nothing. So make a list and look at what's available in your area related to these criteria. And then again, make sure if it's public, private, do you have to pay for this, or are these free? That's a fairly large, significant area. Then the next one is what are these opportunities or availability? And again, that's looking at, is it free? Is it open to the public? Do you have to have a membership? You might have an area that has many nice gymnasiums, but there's a charge to go. So look into that as far as you list these now. Are they free? Is there a charge? That type of thing. Then you want to go back and say, now what about vulnerable populations, the elderly, people with disabilities, and others that you can think of you may add. So people have added social economic. Cultural could be something you might want to consider. And what are the barriers? An example could be, do you have a park that has accessibility for people with disabilities? I know many communities now have the special parks for people who are in wheelchairs. If you have a gym, is it open, or do they have discount prices for people that can't pay? So that is an assessment of that area. And then make sure that you cover, at least the elderly, people with disabilities, and anyone else you can think of, and include a discussion. So not just a few sentences, but again, a nice discussion in this area. In your conclusion, make sure you summarize your assessment, and are these populations that would have to be limited? Are there any other populations in the area that would be limited to having access to your healthy lifestyle? So did you think of another population that might have a problem accessing what the community or area has to offer? Make sure that the paper has 2 current scholarly references. It is usually a good idea not to include your book. Your book really is not going to support this type of assignment. So use 2 nursing journals, and then make sure that you have your paper in APA format that includes a title page and a reference page. And if you have any questions about what that should look like, you can go back to your Pages tab, and there's an example paper there. Sometimes it's good just to look at it and get a bird's eye view of what that should look like. There's also videos that you can go back and review. There's Purdue OWL or APA style. Those are resources that you can go back and look at if you're having questions about that. The paper needs to be 3 full pages in length, and could be much, obviously more than that, but it must be 3 full pages in length to receive total credit for it, and that does not include the reference or title page. And finally, there's rules of grammar that should apply. So again, here's your rubric, and this is how it is scored. If this is an area is not included, this is totally gone, you will receive 0 points for that. So make sure that you are covering every area and what is expected in that area. And basically, it's again listed here. You can go through and see each one that's listed and what we are looking for in that paper. I would suggest when you write your paper that you use titles, and you can just use level 1 APA heading titles and center it, and then make these your topics, and that way then you know you've covered each area. And then the last one is the population that is not able, and here it says is it thoroughly presented, so you want to make sure you have a good presentation there. And your summary, make sure that when you do this, you read through the rubric and you know that you've covered each piece. This is pretty standard for all the papers at Eaglegate as far as formatting. So that is what is expected in this paper. Here's the rubric again. If you do have any questions, I would ask that you put them in questions for instructors so that when I answer you, I can answer everybody, because someone else may have the same question as you do. So please ask your questions in there so that everybody knows or might have the same question. Again, please feel free to contact me with any questions. I am here to help you. And I'm looking forward to working with you in this class. I do think this is a really good class. Like I said, we made changes on the assignments, and you have 2 papers again in the beginning, so you'll have one next week, and then you have another one in the 4th week. And this is more, and I will do a short video on this, but this is more just an assessment of another person who comes from a different ethnicity or cultural background, and it is a good assignment. It's a great way to look at your values and how they might differ from someone else's. And then we move down to the hemodynamics and dialysis quiz. And then the last week you have, I'm sorry, and I did say that was the last week. The last week is the emergency preparedness quiz that is 125 points. And that is also a very interesting, and it's new material, and I think you'll find it very enjoyable. So welcome to the class. And again, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm here to help you and answer your questions.